spiritual and worldly forms as a kind of respect, a sensitivity by one person to another's existence. To be shown love is to feel ourselves the object of concern. Our presence is noted, our name is registered, our views are listened to, our failings are treated with indulgence, and our needs are ministered to. And under such care, we flourish. There may be differences between romantic and status forms of love. The latter has no sexual dimension. It cannot end in marriage. Those who offer it usually have secondary motives, and yet the beloved in the status field will, just like romantic lovers, enjoy protection under the benevolent gaze of others. It's common to describe people who hold important positions in society as somebodies, and their inverse as nobodies. Nonsensical terms, really, for we're all individuals with identities and comparable claims on existence. But such words are apt in conveying the variations in the quality of treatment meted out to different groups. Those without status remain unseen, they're treated brusquely, their complexities are trampled upon, and their identities ignored. The impact of low status shouldn't be read in material terms alone. The penalty rarely lies, above subsistence levels at least, merely in physical discomfort. It lies also, and even primarily, in the challenge that low status poses to a sense of self-respect. Discomfort can be endured without complaint for long periods when it's unaccompanied by humiliation, as shown by the example of soldiers and explorers who've willingly endured privations that far exceeded those of the poorest in their societies, and yet who were sustained through their hardships by an awareness of the esteem they were held in by others. The benefits of high status are similarly seldom limited to wealth. We shouldn't be surprised to find many of the already affluent continuing to accumulate sums beyond anything that 5 generations might spend. Their endeavours are peculiar only if we insist on a strictly financial rationale behind wealth creation. As much as money, they seek the respect that stands to be derived from the process of gathering it. Let's listen to Adam Smith on the topic in his famous book, The Theory of Moral Sentiments. To what purpose is all the toil and bustle of this world? What is the end of avarice and ambition, of the pursuit of wealth, of power and preeminence? Is it to supply the necessities of nature? No, the wages of the meanest labourer can supply those. So what then are the advantages of that great purpose of human life which we call bettering our condition? It's this: to be observed, to be attended to be taken notice of with sympathy, complacency, and approbation. These are all the advantages which we can propose to derive from trying to better our condition. The rich man glories in his riches because he feels that they naturally draw upon him the attention of the world. And the poor man, on the contrary, is ashamed of his poverty because he feels that it places him out of the sight of mankind. To feel that we're taken no notice of necessarily disappoints the most ardent desires of human nature. The poor man goes out and comes in unheeded, and when in the midst of a crowd is in the same obscurity as if shut up in his own hovel. The man of rank and distinction, on the contrary, is observed by all the world. Everybody is eager to look at him and talk to him. His actions are the objects of the public care. Scarce a word, scarce a gesture will fall from him that is neglected. Every adult life could be said to be defined by 2 great love stories. The first, the story of our quest for sexual love, is well known and well charted. Its vagaries form the staple of music and literature. It's socially accepted and celebrated. But the second, the story of our quest for love from the world, is a more secret and shameful tale. If mentioned, it tends to be in caustic, mocking terms, something of interest chiefly to envious or deficient people. Or else the drive for status is interpreted in an economic sense alone. And yet, this second love story is no less intense than the first. It's no less complicated, important, or universal. And its setbacks are no less painful. The American psychologist William James had a few words to say on this painful love story in his book The Principles of Psychology. He wrote, "No more fiendish punishment could be devised, were such a thing physically possible, than that one should be turned loose in society and remain absolutely unnoticed by all the members thereof. If every person we met acted as if we were non-existent, a kind of rage and impotent despair would well up in us, from which the cruelest bodily torture would be a relief." Why should being ignored drive us to rage and impotent despair? Principally because we're uncertain as to our own value, as a result of which what others think of us plays a determining role in how we're able to view ourselves. Our sense of identity is held captive by the judgments of those we live among. If they praise us, we develop an impression of high merit. And if they avoid our gaze as we enter a room, or look impatient after we've revealed our occupation, we may fall into feelings of self-doubt and worthlessness. We would, in an ideal world, be more impermeable. We would be unshaken whether we were praised or jeered at. If we'd carried out a fair appraisal of ourselves, another person's suggestion of our irrelevance wouldn't wound us. We would know our own worth. Instead, though, we appear to hold within ourselves a range of divergent views as to our characters. We have evidence of cleverness and stupidity, humour and dullness, importance and superfluity. And in such wavering conditions, it typically falls to the attitude of society to settle the question of our significance. We seem beholden to the affections of others to endure ourselves. It shouldn't be surprising, therefore, if we're anxious about the place we occupy in the world. This place will determine how much love we are offered, and so, in turn, whether we can like or must lose confidence in ourselves. This place holds the key to a commodity of unprecedented importance to us, a love without which we will be unable to trust or abide by our own characters. In our earliest years, no one minds much what we do. Existence alone is enough to earn us unconditional affection. We can burp up our food, scream at the top of our voice, fail to earn any money, and have no important friends, and still be valued. But to reach adulthood means to take our place in a world dominated by a chilling new kind of character, the snob, whose behaviour lies at the heart of our anxieties about our status. The word snobbery came into use for the first time in England during the 1820s. It was said to have derived from the habit of many Oxford and Cambridge colleges of writing sine nobilitate, without nobility, or s.nob, next to the names of ordinary students on examination lists, in order to distinguish them from their aristocratic peers. In the word's earliest days, a snob was taken to mean someone without high status, but it quickly assumed its modern and almost diametrically opposed meaning, someone offended by a lack of high status in others. It was also clear that those who first used the word were doing so pejoratively, to describe a process of discrimination they found regrettable and worthy of mockery. In his Book of Snobs, written in 1848, a pioneering essay on snobbery, William Thackeray observed that snobs had, over the previous 25 years, spread over England like the railroads. They are now known and recognized throughout an empire on which the sun never sets. But in truth, what was new was not snobbery, but a spirit of equality, beside which a traditional kind of discriminatory conduct now seemed increasingly unacceptable, to men like Thackeray at least. The distinctive mark of snobs is an insistence on a flawless equation between social rank and human worth. Though traditionally they may have been associated with an interest in the aristocracy, for they were first pinned down in language at a time and place when aristocrats stood at the apex of society, snobs can, through time, be found ingratiating themselves with a range of prominent groups, soldiers, bishops, poets, farmers, for the primary interest of snobs is power. The company of the snobbish enrages and unnerves because we sense how little of who we are, outside of our status, will govern their behaviour towards us. We may be endowed with a wisdom of solitude,